cards for people to go on with that conversation, because it had become very, very emotional and passionate, and even between friends we had become extremely divided. And when I left to go home that evening, I remember just telling myself that it's really embarrassing that I could have been, you know, that vocal. I had read whatever I needed to read for that argument. I had studied it. I was very passionate about my arguments, yet the voting registration period had elapsed, and my input was basically going to count for nothing. So my arguments were going to die with me. So I remember sitting with a friend of mine, Joy Mugweru, and I just shared with him an idea I had, and I was just like, it was so embarrassing what we went through yesterday. How can we get people to register to vote? I need to go and vote, and I want all my friends, the other 13 who are in that discussion, to go and vote. And then we came up with a concept, and we just said, you know what, we've been doing a lot of marketing campaigns for the Safaricom's and the Airtels of this world. That time I think it was Celtel. It wasn't even, that was before it became Zain. And using the mechanic that we had been using, Tamasha, for example, which we did for Safaricom, we had gone around the country, and we had found a lot of people coming out using the promotion tactics that we're using to buy phones and to register to vote. In fact, I remember the campaign that we did, it was basically a turning point for Safaricom, because they had 700,000 subscribers when we were starting, and I think Celtel had just about 500,000. So they were still neck and neck. By the time we were through, in the months that followed, Safaricom basically closed that promotion and that campaign at about 1.2 million voters. And that was the paradigm shift that took them away from everybody else. So we said, if we are doing all this for our clients, and our clients pay us for this, why can't we design something that can be of use to Kenya? We've been involved in very many social messaging campaigns. With KJ, who's been my good friend for a long time, we've designed quite a number of campaigns. Jaza Lori, we did Chora Bizna, you know, we've done Trust Wakilisha, the AIDS campaign countrywide, and so on and so forth. And even the day after post-election violence, I remember us having a meeting before the results were announced, and we had already come up with an idea of how we're going to address, how we're going to mobilize the youth so that, you know, we'd have a peaceful solution to the crisis that faced us then. So we got together. I did my part in creating the below the line campaign, the direct marketing campaign. And in a short while, I met up with KJ, Tony, and Walter, then as Ridiculous and Ridiculous Limited. And they had designed a campaign that was supposed to go on mainstream media, again, to encourage people to take up leadership and to register to vote. So in our brainstorming, you know, we decided that that is where it was that we were going to do something. We went and we knocked on many doors, and we caught up with ID, who Ridiculous had been speaking to already at that time, and we started Gutuka. Gutuka, we started in 2005. Actually, it was just a few months after that function where we had the discussion with our friends, and people didn't have voters' cards. So we started the campaign, and we went around the country. We went to Marsabit, we went to Lamu, we went to Garissa. In Garissa, the mechanic was very different. All the young people wanted to see Nameless and the other artists that we had brought in, but Garissa is different in terms of the culture, and so we were stoned and chased away from the stage with our loud music and whatever. And we were told, if you want to do this, you have to do it with skits. The ladies have to be covered. Don't even use the big stage. We forced and we pushed until we did our campaign, because we thought it was the right of the young people who are there to register to vote. But we also learned that when you go to Rome, you need to design your campaign so that it's acceptable to the Romans. So in Nairobi, our last campaign, I think we did over 100,000 people coming to register at Uhuru Park. our campaign was covered by Al Jazeera, it was covered by CNN, it was covered by Sky as revolutionary. And from there, we had a lot of people come from different countries to come and study the model that we had created here so that they could take it back to their countries to get, to resolve the same problem, which is getting young people involved in the electoral process. We held a forum here where we invited people from, young people like ourselves, from 32 countries. And with Open Society, we did something called the AfriCamp. In AfriCamp, we spoke to people from 32 countries and we educated them on our mechanic and what we did so that when they'd go back, they'd be able to excite young people about the electoral process. I even got an invitation to go and speak in Harvard. Now, I didn't go, but in my diary and whatever of things to do, I don't know how many people get invitations to go and speak you know, at Harvard for whatever reason. And I think that it just showed how big the campaign was and what kind of impact we made, not just in Kenya, but beyond our borders, consistently for the last 2 years. Just talking, organizing, knocking on doors. You cannot do these things without money. And a lot of the times, people do not believe in what it is that you propose until you know, they see what it is that you're doing. I remember my old boss, Linda Holt, before she launched Capital FM, just sharing with me how she talked to over 40 banks before she got somebody who agreed to finance her project to come and start an FM station here in Kenya. I'd also like to set the record straight on a couple of things that happened when we finished Kuvuka. Kuvuka was a sponsored project, and we took it up to a certain point. And then from there, lobbies came up, Kuvuka na Kibaki, Kuvuka na whoever, you know, all manner of things, but using the name and the title Kuvuka that we are taking around the country. Here you can see we state very clearly that it was non-partisan, just like the campaign that we are about to embark on. It wasn't meant as a base to form any political party. It was basically a platform to get young people to get involved in the electoral process. That is the same thing that we're going to do this time around. And if we had enough resources, we would have been able to take the campaign to its logical conclusion. But well, we did 18 regions from, like I said, from Marsabit to Lamu. To get to Lamu, you had to cross the ocean in the canoes and everything. You know, these were big things. Not everybody has been to those places. To Marsabit, I think, was an 18-hour journey from here. You get to Isiolo, and then from there you have 12 hours where there's no road. But the people in Marsabit were so excited to receive us because they felt that Marsabit was not part of Kenya. Marsabit is Kenya. So Marsabit became Kenya on that day, and people were able to register to vote. So I'm going to go into what our message is. I think we are ready at the back there.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Moniki. Long time no see. I don't have the eloquence of Big Kev, but I also went to school. So I want to begin by registering my appreciations. I'm happy to be here. And you forgive me because I was not told I was supposed to speak. I saw that there was an occasion where you are supposed to listen to very good music, have a sumptuous meal, meet the rains. And basically that is what I was prepared for. But that notwithstanding, you'll allow me to basically express my gratitude for being part of Kuvuka. I think it's a very good idea. I'll tell you what I was doing in 2007 when KJ and his team were doing what they were doing then. I was actually in the media. And I was covering Parliament for standard newspapers. And I was very impressed because what you are able to do, I thought you had basically snatched a big portion of what ECK was supposed to be doing. And of course you're doing it with more flair and more eloquence and more strategy than ECK. So I said, I don't want to use swag. I said if I ever find myself in such a position, I'll make sure that nobody is going to shine more than me. So because if you can't beat them, you join them. And I want to believe that IEBC is in the right place in terms of partnerships. We have no doubt that we joined a winning team. I hope, KJ, that does not sound political. What I meant is, we've joined a winning team in terms of educating the masses.